skimming and not knowing what's going on. You play hard, you play together. I mean, that's all we ask.
This is what we all have to do.
Be locked in, focus, just be disciplined, all right?
Now I feel like Kyrie, I'ma have to take the shot. If they tryna call me dog, I gotta hit the block. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. I got my black hoodie with a rollie on, eating pasta like Corleone. I don't got time for no fake boy. If you got the money, gon' show me some. I got 2 whips and I'm self-paid. Never got help, bro, I'm self-made. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. Hey, what up, say? Home up in the studio, till I'm locked in. My stock going way up, I got options. Yeah, they fine, but stop playing, you not him. Wait, the numbers going up.
You got 8 seconds to prove you're worth the price of admission. And you got Baylor Scott and White Health along for the ride. So square up. You got this.
MCC has definitely benefited me most on not only what I want to do, but who I aspire to be. Expect every professor to help you become who you want to be and more. Create your own success at MCC.
RJ's Bargain Center is your home team for appliances at unbeatable prices. From refrigerators to washers, dryers to stoves, you'll find brand new appliances with huge discounts. And just like your favorite local teams, RJ's is proud to support our community and local sports. Score your savings today at RJ's Bargain Center, 711 Lynn Street, Waco. Call 254-224-6178. RJ's Bargain Center, where big savings are always a home run.
Son, all your car needs now is a stereo system. Now I know just the spot to go get it. Man, Jack Stereo.
Oh yeah, they're the best. How'd you know about that place?
Because that's where my dad took me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm the coolest cat on the block.
Oh my God.
Need a new audio system for your new ride? Jack Stereo has been selling the best stereos and equipment for generations after generations. Come visit your local store today. Those in the know, go to Jack Stereo, Waco, Temple, Killeen, and Bryan College Station.
I've looked back at MCC with all these kids coming out here, these men and women starting their lives out here, starting their dreams and their visions of what they want to do for their family. It's the foundation for our community.
The plan is to go win.
Yes, sir.
Our girls set a goal that they wanted to win a national championship. They wanted to win a conference championship. That's been on the table from day one. And now we put ourselves in the position to do that.
Pitch hit in the air and deep to left field. Going back is Rayvon Morgan at the wall. He leaps and he makes the catch for the third out.
Too much to give in. If you think it's over, then let's start it again. The planets alive, the stars burn bright, the sun goes down, we keep going all night. Going back down, the moment is now. Don't miss out, we're never turning around. That is your
Going back to him, get to it. It'll go all the way to the wall. One run is scored. Now the third coming home to score is Aiden Cooney.
Catch me if you can. We're renegades.
It's this one here. Deep right field. It is treetop call and over the wall.
We're renegades. We're renegades. We're renegades. Listen up, listen up.
Hits the first pitch down the right field side. That's going to be it. Touching third and coming home is the winning run, Carson Croca. Give a RBI double to Blake Hansen. Walk it off and win by a score of 10-9.
We're renegades.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to bring you through the primetime topics in sports, not just here locally, but from all around the nation. Hey, we want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Primetime. We had a good episode yesterday. Got a football Monday in, got a chance to talk about a lot of football. We'll talk about some more football here coming up. We'll also talk a little bit about some basketball here today. Touch a little bit on the Baylor Bears. We'll talk about this transfer portal going crazy. And, of course, we'll talk about my Houston Texans and their big win last night. Biggest news out of everything, Mike Tomlin out as coach as the Steelers. We'll jump into that in just a second. Hey, once again, want to thank everybody for tuning in with us on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you can catch all of our content. That includes local sports like MCC basketball, which is in full effect. Both men and women's team both got wins in their conference opener last week. They resume conference play this weekend, this Saturday at 2 o'clock. They'll be playing against Ranger College. The women will play at 2. Men will play at 4 o'clock. Both teams off to a hot start, so make sure you guys getting ready to tune into that. We'll talk some MCC basketball a little bit later on in the show as well. So like I said, guys, got a lot to jump into and a lot to talk about here today. But let's get to the biggest news first off, as Mike Tomlin stepping down as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers after a 19-year run. 19-year run as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin has been one of the better coaches in the league. I still think he's one of the better coaches in the league, but I do think it's time for a change in Pittsburgh. You go 19 years there, you win one Super Bowl. Outside of that one Super Bowl win, not a lot of playoff success, you could say, for Mike Tomlin and those guys. Haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Not something the Pittsburgh Steelers are used to. They got the most Lombardis out of any team in the entire NFL. They're not used to non-playoff success. I don't want to say losing because he never even had a losing season in 19 years, which is enough, in my opinion, for him to go to the Hall of Fame just based off of that. You go 19 years without losing a game, we got to put some respect on it. We got to say you're one of the better coaches in the league. But the playoff droughts, the playoff win droughts is a concern. And it was enough for them to mutually part ways. I think this was a mutual dealing. I think both parties got together after the game, maybe this morning or maybe even last night, and was like, hey, man, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do? Well, Mike Tomlin's like, hey, I'm probably going to try somewhere else. Steelers, cool. We don't want to have to fire you. We know the head coach position means a lot to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. They've had 3 head coaches in I don't know how many years, 30, 40, 50 years. So that position means a lot. They don't want to go off and say they fired a guy. So instead they say he steps down as Steelers coach. But I definitely think this was a mutual decision. This wasn't just Mike Tomlin saying, hey, I'm done with you guys. Hey, I'm stepping down here today. I think this was a mutual decision from both sides saying it's time for a change. And I think both parties are right in doing so. I think it is time for a change for Mike Tomlin. There's 7 head coaching openings in the NFL right now, including one of their biggest rivals in the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I've seen some people saying, hey, he can go to the Ravens. They got Lamar Jackson, already got an MVP candidate at quarterback. They've been playing in quarterback hell for the last 15 years since Ben Roethlisberger kind of declined from when they had the triple Bs with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger. There's been no good quarterback situations since then. Aaron Rodgers probably is the best. As much as everybody wants to get on Aaron Rodgers and say he did this, say he did that, Aaron Rodgers is probably the best quarterback he's had since Ben Roethlisberger. And it's not even a probably. Somebody named Duck Hodges played quarterback for the Steelers. Mason Rudolph, who almost got smacked in the face by a helmet from Myles Garrett, was the quarterback for a lot of the time. So not a lot of good quarterback years since the leaving of Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe he could go to a place like Baltimore that's got the quarterback position already figured out. I don't think he's going there, but there's a lot of good situations he could go to. Not a lot. Let me not say there's a lot, but there are some good situations that Mike Tomlin could go to. Multiple head coaching vacancies right now. I think the Atlanta Falcons is probably the best destination for Mike Tomlin. One, Atlanta is part of the culture, man. The city is a part of the culture, and the Falcons are a part of that. So them having a black head coach previously, Raheem Morris, just made sense. Mike Tomlin, another African-American coach, he can go be the coach down there. He'll fit the culture. He's got the weapons. All they don't have is a quarterback, and I know he's probably tired of that, of saying, I don't have a quarterback going into the season. They've got an up-and-coming defense, still need some pieces, but they invested into their defensive line last draft. They got, man, probably the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion, in Bijan Robinson. They got a pretty decent offensive line. Kyle Pitts made an all-pro team. Kyle Pitts went from one of the worst tight ends in the league statistically to an all-pro team this last year. Drake London has had a pretty good year. They've got weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I like the fit with Atlanta. I know the Giants have a head coach opening, but I'm not sold, just me personally, not sold on Jackson Dart. They do have some pieces. Obviously, Malik Neighbors being there. They need to figure out the running back spot. Obviously, they need some more offensive line help. And then their defensive line is one of the best ones in the league. Even though Dexter Lawrence had a pretty underwhelming year, I still think he's one of the better inside linemen in the league. You got Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. Maybe he could get that to work. He's a top 5 pick in the draft last year. Didn't have that great of a rookie campaign, but, I mean, he's a rookie. Maybe he could get that together. Then they still got Kayvon Thibodeau that they drafted out of Oregon a few years ago. So the Giants are a pretty good destination as well. But there's a few places Mike Tomlin will be able to go. Obviously, him and John Harbaugh, who, ironically, after they played that last game on week 18, and everyone said the loser of this game is going to get fired, both coaches end up fired. But those are the two hottest head coaching candidates. Those two guys getting fired, in my opinion, probably takes out a guy like a John Gruden who was trying to get his way back into the NFL circle. It might take a guy out like that because if you're going to pick on or bet on an older coach, you'll say, well, man, I'll just bet on Mike Tomlin or I'll bet on a John Harbaugh who's in his 60s. I've seen some people saying, hey, Kurt Cinetti having a phenomenal year with the Indiana Hoosiers. Could Kurt Cinetti make his way down to Pittsburgh? I think he played at Pittsburgh or back in the 80s. Could Kurt Cinetti be a guy that could take over at Pittsburgh? I don't see any reason why Kurt Cinetti would leave Indiana. They're on the brink of winning a national championship in Indiana, which will just be wild. I mean, it doesn't get any crazier than Indiana. Seeing from where they were, rated as one of the worst, if not the worst football program in the Power 4, or in the Power 5 and Power 4, to go from that to even be in a national championship game is crazy. They gave him a boatload of money. They backed up the Brinks truck for Kurt Cinetti at Indiana. I don't see a reason why he would leave. You got a great scenario. You're retooling your roster already. You're bringing in the Josh Hoovers. They're bringing in Marsh, the receiver from Michigan State. So they're retooling already. They're getting some younger guys right now. They got the oldest team in college football, or one of the oldest teams, if not the oldest team in college football. Then they got 30 or 40-plus guys that are 22 to 25 years old, which is more than there is 21-year-olds in the NFL right now, which is a crazy stat. But I don't see why he leaves Indiana. Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be a good gig and all of that. They already gave him a bag at the Steelers. You don't have to get greedy. Obviously, he probably loved to coach in the NFL. NFL is a completely different game. I don't even know if Kurt Cinetti works in the NFL. I'm not a huge fan of bringing up college coaches and just instantly making them head coaches because it's two completely different games. There'll be plenty of options for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get. I think they need to get a young offensive mind in Pittsburgh. Their offense has just been awful for years. Since Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and Ben Roethlisberger were, almost breaking records every other game. Since then, that was a decade ago. A decade plus ago. Offense has been terrible since then. They got to get an offensive mind in there. Obviously one of the hot names floating around in the NFL right now, Clint Kubiak, has been one of the bigger names. I would love to see him in Pittsburgh, get that offense going. But why would a Clint Kubiak choose them? The reason last year's offensive guru that everybody wanted was Ben Johnson. He went to the Bears because they had Caleb Williams, not just because they were the Bears. Whoever goes to the Steelers, you'll have to go just because it's the Steelers. It's the nostalgia of the Steelers and the job security of the Steelers. I mean, Mike Tomlin could have he had to step down. Probably could have stayed the coach. He was already the coach for 19 years. Probably could have stayed the coach for 30. Pittsburgh Steelers do not like making a lot of changes. The Rooney family and the other ownership groups in the Pittsburgh Steelers are not fans of changing coaches. So if you get the gig, you probably got the gig for like a decade. So that's a lot of job security. That's a plus. But outside of that, the defense is old. TJ Watt's frustrated. The offense is bad. Don't have a true number one at anything. I know some people think DK Metcalf is a number one. I don't think he's a number one. Saw him getting tossed around yesterday by guys half his size. I think that's how he plays. He's not a Pickens. I'm thinking of the big body receivers. He's not a Drake London. He's not a go and get it type of guy. He's big and he's fast. He wasn't even dominant in college football, playing against 18, 19-year-olds. I don't see how he's going to come to the NFL and be dominant. So they don't have a true number one at receiver. They haven't found their running back just yet. They're using serviceable guys, the Jalen Warrens. They draft Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Jury's still out to see can he be a number one running back. They've got issues. I'm sure they'll have plenty of guys wanting to coach there. I don't think it's the most desirable job. I wouldn't pick them over picking Baltimore. You know, it's better than being the Cardinals who need a coach. But I wouldn't pick them over Baltimore. I wouldn't pick them over the Falcons if I'm a coach looking for a job. Few teams that have a lot of weapons. The Giants are arguable. Can Scatterboo stay healthy even though he plays like a caveman? Can Jackson Dart stay healthy even though he plays like a caveman? Can Malik Neighbors come back and be the same guy he was pre-injury because he was destroying the league before he got hurt? Unfortunately, tore his ACL. But I guess the only good part about that is he did it early in the season. And when you do it early in the season, you've got a long time to be able to rehab the whole season, entire offseason. You can come back healthy and be ready really for game one of the next season. So there's some jobs that I still think are a little bit more desirable than the Pittsburgh Steelers. But as of right now, Mike Tomlin out as coach as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Biggest story right now in the NFL is that almost taken away from the shine of what was a fantastic game if you are a Texans fan like myself. The Houston Texans completely dominate and embarrass the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, getting a victory 30-6 yesterday. I mean, you know, if you watch this show, I got a clip out right now talking about me predicting the Indiana thing, which I don't think that was that hard to see if you watched Indiana play this year. It's how they looked all year long. But I also said the Texans were going to win this game. No shocker there. I'm a Texans fan. But I said they were going to win this game in dominating fashion. And once again, I think that was kind of easy to see. The writing was on the wall. They got a bad offense. Pittsburgh has a bad offensive line. They got a 42-year-old quarterback that probably does shrooms. That's got nothing to do with his football play, but does weird stuff. He's old. You got receivers that cannot get open against who I think are probably top 5 DBs in the league right now with Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. Running game, no one was scared of the running game whatsoever. So I thought the writing was on the wall. And for about halfway through this game, I thought there was a chance that I could be wrong. C.J. Stroud gave the Pittsburgh Steelers every single opportunity possible to lose this game. If they had any type of offense last night, the Pittsburgh Steelers would be moving on and Mike Tomlin would still be the coach. That's just me being honest, even as a Texans fan. C.J. Stroud's play yesterday was inexcusable. This man had 5 fumbles. 5. Now, a couple of those were on the snapper. I'll give you that. But how do you have 5 fumbles at any position? At quarterback, running back, receiver, offensive lineman. I don't care who you are out there. 5 fumbles is crazy. C.J. Stroud played a terrible game last night. In totality. He still made some really good throws throughout the night. Still was able to find an open man. Still made plays. I can't say when they needed to be made because, I mean, our defense gave us 2 touchdowns. He made enough plays to win last night. But he also made enough mistakes for us to be able to lose. And that is the issue with C.J. Stroud. I don't know if this was a confidence thing. I don't know if the Pittsburgh cold got to him. I don't know if the terrible towels got to him. But it's going to be colder with a equally crazy fan base this next Sunday going into New England. So he's got to get that together. C.J. Stroud did not play well, but just about everybody else played championship football. I'll just say it right now. This is championship football we're witnessing out of the Houston Texans. Everybody outside of C.J. Stroud. Woody Marks, the young running back out of USC, who we picked up late in the draft, I thought was a good steal getting him out of USC. Has really blossomed over the last few weeks. Got the bulk load of the carries last night in their win versus the Steelers. 19 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Played great. Had us in scoring position multiple times, even when Stroud was throwing picks, even when he fumbled. The one constant last night was Woody Marks. Christian Kirk, a guy we traded for in the offseason, veteran receiver, a guy that was considered a number one, at least by Jacksonville a few years ago when they paid him all that money. But definitely a serviceable receiver out of Texas A&M is Christian Kirk. And, man, he had himself a game last night. Nico Collins got hurt a couple of times. He'll probably be in concussion protocol all week long. I'll definitely be checking to see how is that going to turn out as far as being in the New England game. We'll be down to number one. But in this game, we were pretty much down to number one. Christian Kirk stepped up and was that guy. Got 9 targets, caught 8 of those for 144 yards and a touchdown. One of those being a long ball down the sideline, 46-yard touchdown or 46-yard play. He stepped up big time on the offensive end. And the defense. I mean, everyone's been saying this Texans defense is the best in the league. This Texans defense can be special. This Texans defense is looking all-time great now. This is looking like an all-time great defense. If you look at it in totality, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are the best pass rushing duo I've seen since DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller, who won the Super Bowl back in 2016 against my favorite player, Cam Newton. That's what this defense reminds me of. Similar to the no-fly zone, we can rush 4, and we can drop back and play cover 1 or play cover 4 the whole game. We don't need to mix it up. They had a couple blitzes last night, a couple mix-ups, but they blitzed the least amount in the NFL. They did a good job disguising some of their coverages last night, but for the most part, we saw cover 1 and we saw cover 4. What we've seen all year long out of this defense. That's because that's what they can do when you can just rush 4 and get home every single time. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson looked like men amongst boys last night. Will Anderson had a sack had half a sack, 3 QB hits in the game. Sheldon Rankins had a sack and a half, had a scoop and score all the way back to the house. Danielle Hunter had a sack. He had a couple of QB hits as well. Kalen Bullock had a pick 6 that he took about 60 yards. Jalen Petrie is laying people out, getting multiple tackles for losses. Last night had 2 tackles for losses. Henry To'oTo'o, who has played better and better and better all year long consistently for this Texans defense, being that inside linebacker. Al Shahir, an all-pro at the linebacker spot. This is an all-time great defense. I'm stamping it now. We've seen it now in the playoffs to give them some validation. Some people say it was the Pittsburgh Steelers or playing against an old man. Whoever it was going to get that same treatment yesterday, the way that Texas defense played. Played phenomenal on all 3 levels of the defense. This Texans defense is a championship defense. They've got enough to be able to go all the way this year. Can their offense step up? Can their offense sustain enough? Can they sustain enough offense to make it all the way through the playoffs is the question. They're going into New England next week. New England, I know they beat down the Chargers this past Sunday. But Justin Herbert is kind of solidifying himself as an all-time bad playoff performer. I mean, seriously, though, you put up 3 points against the defense. I know New England's defense is good. But the jury's still out on Justin Herbert. I'll just say that. And for me, the jury's still out on this Patriots team. Had the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. I think beat two playoff teams, I believe. They beat the Bills once, and I'll look to see who their other win was. But only beat two playoff teams this year. Didn't face a high level of competition. Yeah, they looked like the number one seed or a potential number one seed, a 14-win team beating up on this Chargers team. But, man, there's not a lot of impressive wins when you look down their schedule. They beat the Bills 23-20. They beat the Ravens 28-24. And I think that was early on in the season when they beat those guys. Outside of that, I mean, you beat the Falcons, you beat the Jets, you beat the Bengals, you beat the Giants. Not a lot of great wins there. I think this Texans defense has enough to not only beat New England, I think this Texans defense has enough for them to win the Super Bowl. I've seen it before. I just brought up the no-fly zone in Denver. Peyton Manning was playing terrible. Now, I know he's still Peyton Manning. He still got Peyton Manning's brain. He still got Peyton Manning's decision-making. But at that time, Peyton Manning had my arm strength. He couldn't throw the ball. He couldn't throw the ball 20 yards, 25 yards. Even against that Panthers defense, did pretty much virtually nothing. But their defense for that Denver Bronco team, Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, Derek Wolfe on that front line. Malik Jackson, I think it was, also playing interior line. Had a great D-line that year. That secondary, Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr., T.J. Ward, Stewart back there at safety, had a phenomenal secondary, similar to Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Petrie, Kalen Bullock, who's slowly becoming one of the best safeties in the NFL. I've seen it before. 2013, Peyton Manning was in that Super Bowl too. This time he lost against a Seattle team that didn't have a lot on offense. They had Marshawn Lynch, who was a monster. Not taking nothing away from Marshawn Lynch. But nobody was really scared of Russell Wilson. You were scared of their defense. I think this is a defense similar to that Legion of Boom defense. This is a defense that can take you all the way, man. The Houston Texans, it's going to be a case-by-case basis. But looking at their game next week versus New England, and I'll talk about these some more when PJ comes on here in a little bit. This Texans defense playing against the Patriots on Sunday, I believe it'll be 2 o'clock in Foxborough. Right now, the Patriots are a 3-point favorite to win over the Houston Texans. Obviously, there's no shock there. They won 14 games, playing at home. C.J. Stroud just played bad in the cold. It's going to be cold again in New England. Probably going to be windier in New England. And you'll be playing against a much, much better defense than the Pittsburgh Steelers. But saying all that, I still think these guys can be had. Drake May didn't play like a world beater against the Chargers defense. I think the Texans defense is way better than the Chargers defense. So Drake May didn't play that great. Can we slow down and run with Travion Henderson and those guys? And on the outside, honestly, they don't have anybody that scares me. They don't have anybody that scares any of the DBs for the Houston Texans. So if they don't have anybody that's scary like that on their defense, on their offense at the receiver spot, I don't see why we can't do the same thing. Not to the extent of what we did to Aaron Rodgers, because obviously this Patriots team is a lot better than Aaron Rodgers. But I still think the way that this defense performed and the way that our corners can play against their number ones, the Stephon Diggs, the Kayshon Boutte, Kyle Williams, the young receiver out of Washington State, they've got a good core. But Stephon Diggs, he was just over here. He was just on this Texans team. He know what that DB room looks like. He knows that he's not getting off on Stingley, and he'll get bullied by Kamari Lassiter. Now, I still think Stephon Diggs is one of the better route runners in the league. But against the Kamari Lassiter, against the Derek Stingley, he don't want to come across the middle against Petrie or Al Shahir or any of those guys. I think this Texans defense has enough to be able to win it all, and definitely has enough to be able to win against New England on Sunday. Let's bring somebody in here to call in with us. We got PJ over here on the line. PJ, we're just talking about this Texans defense and the performance they had last night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then kind of previewing their game against New England. PJ, what do you think about Texans' win last night versus the Steelers?
That was a really good win. I feel like it was most. I'll put some of the credit, most of the credit, defense. I feel like the defense really showed up. The offense kind of put it out slow. They kind of start trying to get going, but I mean, you got to give all the credit to defense. Those guys, man, like I've been saying all season that they're historically good. I feel like they're a defense that you just don't see a lot of throughout the years that move the way that they're good at every level, line to the linebackers to the I mean, their DBs are aggressive, come downhill and stop their linebackers. Or I mean, you can play them in the box or you can have them off the edge. You know, they're just really good, man. Defense really showed up yesterday. Like I said, it was kind of slow for them, but not really too worried. Christian had a really good game. Has had some good looks, you know, in the running game. If I'm not mistaken, Walker, I think this is his first 100 yards today against the. So it's some good things that you can take that game yesterday against the Steelers for them offensively. But I mean, it's so easy whenever your defense is not stopping and shutting down another team. So this Texans defense, man, the sky's the limit for the Texans just because of defense. And I got them really going to play. I got them really, man. I feel like they can go.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I think this defense has enough to be able to go all the way. I think this defense has enough to be able to win the Super Bowl, man. And it's not just saying that from a fan perspective. When you look at the defense, I was bringing up the defenses like the Denver Broncos in 2016, like the Seattle Seahawks back in 2012, the Buccaneers in 2002. I don't want to compare them to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really compare anybody to the Ravens, the 2000 Ravens. So I just leave that alone. But those other defenses, man, this reminds me just of that. I said this is the best pass rush duo with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter since DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. What do you think about that?
I can agree with that. I mean, they they take over games.
Yeah.
They take over games. So, yes, no, I'll for sure agree with that. That for sure.
Yeah, this Texans defense doing it all last night, scoring 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter on their way to a win. They're playing against the New England Patriots in New England at 2 o'clock in Foxborough. As I said earlier, PJ, it's going to be cold in Foxborough. It was cold last night in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that was what was affecting C.J. Stroud's play, but as well as our defense played great enough for us to win against anybody. C.J. Stroud played bad enough for us to lose against anybody. That's the problem. You fumbled the ball 5 times and put the ball on the ground. Do you think C.J. Stroud can play better against this New England defense or against this New England Patriots team? And how do you see this game kind of shaping out on Sunday?
I'm hoping they. If I was a man, I would continue to lean on that run. I mean, when you look at the pass, man, I feel like the offensive line acts in pass pro, and so it kind of makes it. That really doesn't help C.J. Stroud either in that aspect, but plays better. I personally feel like, man, I don't understand. He played at Ohio State, and so he's played in cold games. He's played. You know what I mean? He's played in a lot of school games or just cold games. So I can't with the cold, man, because he, from a college at least, where he played always cold, definitely around November, December, going into January. But I mean, for the Texans, he does play better. And like I said, I just need to really lean on the run game. The run game looks really good, or at least it did yesterday. I don't have no reason to think that it won't look good against the Patriots, So lean on the run. That'll probably open up some pass windows. you can kind of, kill them in the zone and everything, hit some guys on if you can really just dominate the run. That's what I would do, and I think that's what they're going to do. Kind of tell yesterday at some point they kind of just started focusing on just leaning more on the run game because he wasn't looking good yesterday at all. I'm hoping that he plays better. I will. I think that they're going to learn from this game. Two different type of defenses for sure, but two very good defenses. That they back-to-back weeks still. So I would say that their defense is more sound than the Steelers defense for sure. They probably don't have the stars. Don't have all the stars that the Steelers have. They are a very sound group. And he's not going to have no choice but to play better whenever they play.
Yeah, he's got no choice. Mike Vrabel's a great coach. He's got these guys coached up on the defensive side of the ball. He's one of my favorite coaches in the league. I think he's been a great coach when he was in Tennessee. I think he was a great coach. Now that probably the coach of the year and what he's done here in New England, I think he's probably the coach of the year. So seeing what he's been able to do with these guys, he's definitely going to have them ready to play against this Texans team. I don't see any reason why this isn't going to be a knockout, drag-out type of game. I think these guys can play. Either one of these teams can play and compete for a Super Bowl. New England's that good. I think they're good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. I think, obviously, I just talked about this Texans team being that good and them being able to compete for a Super Bowl. But we're going to see on Sunday at 2 o'clock. They're going to play in Foxborough. I'm glad they got an earlier game so it won't be as late out there, and maybe it won't be as cold and windy for those guys, for my guys traveling all the way up to New England. But that was the game last night. I talked a little bit earlier about the news, the biggest news of the day, Mike Tomlin stepping down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. PJ, what was your thoughts, man, when you seen, we kind of all thought it. We said a couple of weeks ago, John, whoever loses that game against the Baltimore Ravens and Steelers, their coach is probably going to be fired. Ravens lose, John Harbaugh's gone. Steelers lose the very next week, and now their coach is out. What do you think about the news about Mike Tomlin stepping down? That's how they're quoting it right now. They're not saying fired, saying he stepped down as coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It was expected. I mean, regardless if he stepped down or if they let him go, it was kind of expected that he probably wasn't going to be here after this season.
Yeah.
About leaving or getting fired from, the Ravens. It's about that time that you just need a new energy around the organization. These guys been there for 19 and 18 years. A lot of these guys now that's in the league, I mean, these dudes was babies whenever these dudes first got hired. So, you just need new energy. You need new energy around the organization. I don't know where you would probably get that new energy from, but you just need somebody new, somebody that's going to be more, I would say more with the times. The game has changed. So it's similar, like I said about Harbaugh. I mean, it's not that they're bad coaches. These guys, I still think, can still coach right now and still possibly might get a job somewhere else as a head coach. I don't know, or I don't know where, but whether if they take a year off, at some point, these guys are going to be in the talks of, a head coaching job for a different organization at some point. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, they're good coaches, so they'll be in the talks. But you just need new energy around the organization. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the guy's been there for 19 years. So now, if you're going to let him go, kind of like I said with the Ravens, who are you going to go get? You need to really start looking at candidates because, I mean, really, to be honest, it's not a lot. Yeah. And now you're going to be in the market for a head coach. So, I mean, you can draft all the guys that you want, but if they don't know who they're going to be getting coached by, that's kind of like, what I mean? Even in like, just trades or whatever, free agency, you got to really get a face of your team.
Yeah.
So whenever you can bring these guys in, they can be able to buy in immediately. You know what I mean? You don't want to get young guys, through the draft or guys through trades and free agency, and they don't even know who their coach is. So I don't know who the candidates are for them, but I'm not against the move. But I'm still a huge fan of Mike Tomlin. I think he's an awesome coach. still to me one of the better coaches in the league for sure.
Yeah, I agree. When you let a guy go, you got to have a plan in place. In Harbaugh's situation, I think it was time to go, really for both of these guys. I think it was time for both of them to go. As you just pointed out, he's there for 19 years. Harbaugh was there for, 18 years at the Ravens? So these guys have been there for a very long time. One of the things that they're going to have to adapt to, they're both going to be coaches again. John Harbaugh is probably going to coach somewhere else this season. I think Mike Tomlin can make a lot of money being on TV for a year and then maybe going back and coaching after that. There's no reason to stress yourself out. Decompress for a second. There's a lot of stress that's happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 19 years. Decompress for a second. Go to TV. They're going to pay you $5 million, $6 million to go say whatever you feel like saying on TV. Go do that, at least for a year, and then you'll get that itch and want to go back out there and go coach again. But Harbaugh is probably going to be coaching again. The thing they're both going to have to adapt to, they got to get rid of these stale 2006 offenses, bro. It's 2026. The defenses, now you see the way that these guys are disguising defenses now and disguising blitzes and changing up these schemes. You can't come out here and just keep running a flood concept in 12 personnel and thinking that's not gonna work, bro. These dudes are playing, they got hybrid safeties playing safety/nickel back now. These dudes are 6'2", running 4.4s, 220 pounds, 230 pounds. You running that double tight end set and running them down the field, they're not getting open. Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball in the dirt because no one's open. They're covered. Arthur Smith, I think he's cool, but he showed in the Falcons and even at times in Tennessee. He's got this old offense. Same thing with John Harbaugh. They like getting these dudes with these old offenses. Now, Todd Monken, he did a little bit, some different things coming from the college ranks. He did some different things. But they don't have the gurus. Like, what would Lamar Jackson look like with Kyle Shanahan? What would Lamar Jackson look like with Sean McVay? What would some of these guys? Now, the Steelers haven't had anybody. I can't necessarily blame all of it on their offense being old. The Steelers haven't had nobody at quarterback until they just got a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I think they've got to adapt to the times more on their offensive schemes. Neither one of them are, position coach. It's not like either one of them coach the defense or coach the offense. Neither one of them call plays. They're both program builders. I think Mike Tomlin will be a great hire for a team like Atlanta. I think he'd be a great hire for a team like the New York Giants. And John Harbaugh, I'm not sure where he'd be a great hire, but I like him at a few different places. They're saying he can go to Cleveland. I don't really know what that's going to do. They're saying I think he's probably going to go to the Giants, if I had to pick anybody. As far as the Pittsburgh Steelers replacing Mike Tomlin, they got to go and get one of these young offensive minds. You got to go get a Clint Kubiak. You got to go get somebody like that, man. Somebody, whoever the Ben Johnson is of this year, you got to go and find that guy that can give you an innovative offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers for them to be able to go out and make some changes. Because 10 years now without even winning a playoff game, that's not going to fly in Pittsburgh. They got the most Lombardi trophies for a reason. They're not going to be cool with that. Ownership's not going to be cool with that. And the fan base definitely ain't going to be cool with that. So they got to find somebody that can come in and not turn things around, because it ain't like Mike Tomlin was doing terrible. Same with John Harbaugh. But elevate the team to where they think they can go or where they think they should be at. Let's transition a little bit. We'll come back and talk about the wild card or the divisional round playoff matchups here in just a second. But let's transition a little bit and talk about some college football. PJ, this transfer portal has been crazy, to say the least, over the last week or so, with these guys jumping into the portal, with the amount of money we're starting to see guys getting out here. I want to ask you about Texas and what they've been doing in just a second, and we'll talk about some of these other big-name guys. But first, I want to ask you about the local news, I guess you could say, in the Baylor Bears getting DJ Lagway. Yesterday, I was on the show with Wayne and Rocky, and we talked about it. I don't see this as a program-changing move. Do I like them getting DJ Lagway? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great pickup if you're Baylor. First of all, who are your options? The Walker White guy that we got from Auburn, that was a 4-star quarterback, he left and transferred to Central Arkansas. And I was like, nah, he must have knew. They must have told him, or somebody in the organization knew that the DJ Lagway deal was on the way. Because there's no way you transfer from Baylor to go to Central Arkansas. That doesn't make any sense. But after Lagway signed, it kind of made sense. I don't see the Lagway as a program changer, because we won 5 games last year with Sawyer Robertson, who's a better quarterback than DJ Lagway. I mean, it's not a slight. It's just telling the truth. Tory Robinson was a better quarterback than them. We had multiple receivers. We had Ashton Hawkins. We had Josh Cameron. We had Kobe Prentice. All those guys are gone. We had Michael Trigg. He's gone. He's going to the NFL. We had Bryson Washington. He's gone. He went to Auburn. We had a decent offensive line. The only ones that weren't graduating left. So with DJ Lagway coming in, yeah, I think that's cool. I think we got Jalen Miller as well out of the transfer portal from Colorado. I think he'll be cool. He'll kind of have to play a mix of slot receiver and running back and kind of play everything on this offense. But what do you think about the Lagway signing, him coming to Baylor? Thank God. I'll see if I can get PJ's audio back on here. But like I was saying, I don't see this DJ Lagway move as some type of crazy move for the Baylor Bears just because who is DJ Lagway playing with? Who is he going to be out there with? That's the biggest problem with Baylor getting a DJ Lagway and paying him. Now, you got to go and get him. If you got an opportunity to get, at least out of high school, a potential blue chip stock, you got to go with it, and you got to try it. But if you can't get talent to go around him, then this is just going to be getting DJ Lagway. That's what it is. Can he play better in the Big 12 than he played in the SEC? I'm sure he's going to play a lot better in the Big 12 than he played when he played in the SEC. But is he enough to get you all the way over the hump? PJ, go ahead. I think your audio cut out before you got started about Lagway.
Okay. Lagway's a really good player, but I mean, you gotta build from this. You gotta build this O line back. You gotta build it back up. I mean, if you don't have a good O line, then it's not gonna be too different from whenever he was at Florida. And Florida O line actually was good.
Yeah.
But it was certain times, that they.
We'll see if we can get him back on. But yeah, this Lagway move, I like it for Baylor. But if you don't, as PJ was alluding to, if you don't go get an offensive line, if you don't go get some help at the receiver spot, I like Jaden Porter. I think he can bring a lot back to this team. But all the rest of these guys, they're gone. They graduated. Ashton Hawkins is gone. Josh Cameron is gone. Michael Trigg is gone. If you don't replenish the cupboard as far as receivers and pass catchers, we lost our best running back with Bryson Washington. He's gone to Auburn. I like Dawson Pendergrass, but can he be a number one? I like Michael Turner and Caden Knighton, but can they be number ones at the running back spot? That's my only concern with it. PJ, do I got you on here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead.
Saying you don't build your own line up, then it doesn't really matter what skill position that you get because, I mean, you got to be able to get the ball. So you don't build your own line up. I mean, it's kind of pointless to go ahead and slagging all these guys in the portal.
Yeah. If you don't get the O-line, your offense is going to be bad, and the Baylor Bears were bad last year with a good offense. So if the offense is bad and the defense is, iffy, to say the least. Keaton Thomas went to Ole Miss. Marion Winston, the edge rusher, he left as well. I think he went to Iowa State. Can't remember where he signed to. Those guys are gone. I don't know who's playing corner next year. Yeah, we got a couple guys in the transfer portal. We got some linemen from Texas and stuff like that. But we don't know if these guys can play. I've told y'all about the philosophy of going and getting guys from other Power 4 schools that don't even play and then try to live off of the college hype. Off the high school hype. That recipe hasn't worked for anybody. Didn't work for Colorado last year. Didn't work for Baylor last year. Didn't work for a few different teams last year. So, man, I think the Lagway move can work out. Interested to see if the young Central Texas prospect and London Smith, can he go out there and play right away with these guys as well. But DJ Lagway heading to Baylor. Jalen Miller coming down here to Baylor as well. Another kind of local topic, and this will kind of transition into talking about Texas here, PJ. Kobe Black decides to stay into the transfer portal. He's going to stay at the University of Texas, according to reports. He'll stay with his high school teammate, Jelani McDonald, who will probably be one of their captains on the defensive side of the ball. Him staying, I think, will be big for this DB room, kind of filling out their roster and kind of bolstering their defense. This playoff run has showed that if you don't have depth at multiple different positions, like corner, man, you can't make a run in college football, with you having to play so many games now, with there being a 12-team playoffs, and you already got to play 12 games leading into it, plus a championship game potentially as well. You got to have depth to be able to make it through the season. It's like the NFL now. You got to have the NFL amount of depth at certain positions, and if you don't, it's going to come back to bite you later on. PJ, what do you think about Kobe Black staying at Texas? And then I'll let you talk about some of these other acquisitions they've got in the transfer portal as well.
I think it's a big thing. Will Muschamp, he's really trying to build up this defense, to what he envisioned. And so I think keeping Kobe Black, him coming back to Texas was really big for us. He was going to be a key player that we was going to need on defense next year, and a leader as well. So we really needed him. As far as like the other acquisitions that we got in the portal, I think Texas is really all in, kind of like what Sark said, that they're all in. Right now, I know we're looking at Jordan Seaton from Colorado. I think we're number one on his board. It's the O-line from Colorado. So we're really looking really good. I mean, we got Hollywood Smothers from NC State. That was a huge pickup. I mean, that pick Coleman was within like an hour of each other, like probably 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
Getting Cam Coleman is really huge. Yeah, it was close. It was like back to back. And so Cam Coleman, Raleek Brown, I think the linebacker from Pitt, he's a dog, man. He's a dog.
One of the best defensive players in the portal. So that was huge getting him.
In the portal. Yeah, so Texas is really all in. I mean, this offense next year should be probably one of the most explosive offenses in college football. It was already a really good offense this year, but you got some guys, you really got some dudes now with Hollywood Smothers or Malik Brown, two really good running backs that you can utilize, not just for running, but also having those guys come out the backfield, possibly having, I have Malik Brown line up at slot, you know what I mean, and running around. He's just that good.
Yeah.
And Cam Coleman is just, that's just a mismatch against everyone. He's a dog.
He gives you a true number one.
Up there with, he's a true number one. He's up there with the Jeremiah Smiths of college football. It's literally Jeremiah and then him.
Yeah.
So Cam Coleman is really the ball in his range, man. And even if his eye range, somehow finds a way to catch the ball. And I mean, even yards after catch for him is crazy. He's just a really, really good football player. So I'm excited for Texas. They still got some moves they're making. Like I said, they're looking at Jordan Seaton, the tackle out of Colorado. So and they're number one on his board. So there's a strong possibility that they'll be making that happen probably in the next, I'll say, 2 days.
Yeah, I've seen that with him transferring from Colorado. Obviously, huge news for Colorado and those guys out there. But they've had a good portal, man. And Seaton did. I don't want to say did his time like he was in jail, but he did his time in Colorado. He made his. I seen some people saying, "Oh man, he's giving up on it." Man, if you got a chance to go get $3 million from somewhere before you even get to the league, go get the money, bro. Colorado ain't winning no natty. I'm a Colorado fan. I even like the moves that they've been getting. Colorado not winning no natty next year. You got a chance to go do that out of Texas, out of Ohio State, out of Oregon, or some of his top targets right now. You got a chance to do that, but I'm in agreement with you, PJ, about Cam Coleman. I guess a lot of people, if you're not just if you're not a big college football fan, maybe you just don't know exactly who Cam Coleman is. But this guy's a monster. He gives you a true number one. He gives you a reliable target on third downs. And with the progression Arch Manning made in those last few games of the season, and then him putting his foot on his neck against Michigan is what made me start kind of buying in more on this Arch Manning thing. I seen the last few games of the season, and I do think he played better. I think he played pretty good in that A&M game as well. But seeing him really just kind of, really curb stomp Michigan and talking noise while he's doing it, I said, okay, yeah, Arch is ready. He's ready now. This first year, he got that out the way. He's got the experience. He's ready to dominate in this next year's draft. And as bad as Arch Manning played through the first 6 or 7 games of the season, and he did play bad, if he came out this year, he'd still be the number 1 pick in the draft. It's easy. He would easily be number 1 pick in the draft if he came out this year, which he's not. But if he came out this year, he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft. Next year, I think for sure he's the number 1 pick in the draft. Clearly, you get him a target like Cam Coleman, a guy that can be a Dez Bryant, a guy that can be a Michael Crabtree, for people that's been watching Big 12 football for a long time. A guy that can just be dominant physically. That's what Cam Coleman gives you. He's got speed. His catch radius is crazy. Long arms, big hands kind of guy. Man, I think he's going to be great with them. You add in a Raleek Brown on that Texas offense, Texas is going to be a dangerous team. I'm going to ask you about a couple of these other, I guess, kind of big transfer portal moves over the last couple of days. Lane Kiffin finally gets his quarterback down there at LSU. They finally get a commitment, and they end up with Sam Leavitt, who I thought was one of the better quarterbacks in the transfer portal. So I like to move down there with them. It makes sense. He can run Lane Kiffin's offense. We've seen what Sam Leavitt was able to do as a redshirt freshman at Arizona last year. He was having a pretty decent season this year. Gave Texas Tech their only loss before they played Oregon at Arizona State. That was right before he ended up getting hurt. Him going to LSU, I think he can really run their offense. Him and the Lane Kiffin offense, I think he's going to thrive out there at LSU, who's always going to have weapons. They're always going to have guys out there at receiver. If they don't recruit anywhere outside of the state of Louisiana, they're always going to have guys down there at receiver. What do you think about Sam Leavitt heading down to LSU?
I think that was big. I think he was the quarterback that they were supposed to get in the transfer portal, so they did that. Also, they've been getting a lot more weapons at receiver through the portal as well. You had a few guys, I think like 4 receivers now that came in through the portal, so he got him some weapons. So I kind of already seen this kind of happening just because I think he was at a basketball game with Lane Kiffin a few days ago, and so I'm excited for it. I think he's going to really thrive out there. This is going to really make the LSU offense be a lot better. Definitely with Lane Kiffin as well being there now. He's going to draw up some really good plays. It's going to be very similar to, really how this Ole Miss offense has been, since Lane Kiffin been there. They've always had a really good offense. And so I think he's going to bring that type of energy to LSU. And with having Sam Leavitt now, a quarterback that's experienced, you know what I mean? He has a few years under his belt now in college football and is a really good quarterback, a top quarterback in college football. And now being down there at LSU, I think they're going to thrive.
Yeah, him being there with a multitude of weapons at receiver, like you just said, being in that Lane Kiffin offense. My only question is, are they going to have the offensive line to be able to run the football? That's why LSU was bad this year. I think they had guys on defense. They had a pretty decent defense. I think they even had some pretty good guys at receiver. But they could not run the ball to save their life last year, whether that be because of the guys they had running it or if their offensive line is just that bad. I think that's going to be their biggest question. Obviously, with Lane Kiffin coming there, it's completely different than the coach they just had last. So I think they'll be able to run the ball and be able to make the right adjustments. But them getting Sam Leavitt was huge. The other big-name quarterback that committed here recently, Dylan Raiola heading to Oregon. Now, this one, I have my reservations. Yes, I think Oregon is a better place than Nebraska, and it's be a better offensive system for him to work in with all those guys out there. But Raiola is committing, and reports were he's going to commit to Oregon whether Dante Moore stays or leaves. Now, I think Dante Moore is leaving. I see no reason why he will come back to Oregon, but he hasn't declared just yet, and he's only a sophomore. He could play 2 more years if he wanted to play at Oregon. I think he's gone, but Raiola's saying he's willing to go there whether he stays or not. Like, he would just be cool with being a backup, which I thought was kind of strange, but I think Dylan Raiola is kind of strange. But what do you think about Raiola heading down to Oregon, going to play with Dan Lanning next year?
Oh, can you say that one more time?
No, I said, I was talking about Dylan Raiola heading out there to Oregon to play with Dan Lanning. Do you think what do you think about the fit of him going down to Oregon?
He's a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. I just don't know. It's not even really him. I'm just not sold on Oregon. You know what I mean? Definitely in big games. But I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move. I have been wondering where he'll possibly end up landing at. And as we see, he went to Oregon. So I think it's still a good move. he got the weapons for sure already a receiver out there, so he'll be good out there. I think he'll be good out there. I'm just not sure. Just overall, does this make them a better team, or is it just the same old Oregon with a flashy offense? You know what I mean? I don't really know, but I think they'll be good though. I think they'll be good. Oregon always gonna have a really good offense. It's just like I said, I'm just not really sold for them in big game situations.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been Oregon's stigma. I mean, at least my lifetime. They're going to have a good team, but they never seem like they're able to win the big game, whether they have Chip Kelly, whether they have Mario Cristobal when Bo Nix and those guys had a run, and even now with Dan Lanning and a couple of good teams that he's had out there at Oregon, just haven't been able to get it done with those guys. But I think Raiola will be, he'll be straight heading down there to Oregon. It seems like the type of offense he'll be able to run. He's got a big arm. He can make the throws. I think he's just got to stop cosplaying Patrick Mahomes, man. I think that's really holding back his potential. Like it's starting to get weird at this point of him going out there playing being in a Patrick Mahomes costume every single time. So we'll see what he looks like out there as well. A couple other transfer portal moves. Want to talk about Jordan Seaton. Obviously, is leaving Colorado. What is that going to mean for this Colorado program, who's had a really good transfer portal so far? I think, as I said before, it's just Seaton's time to move on. I think it's just Seaton's time to move on from Colorado. He's done his time down there. He's got a chance to go and make some big plays in the and make some big time money out there in the portal. But there's been some, I wouldn't say strange signings, but there's some guys that, this is why I said I love the money that these guys are getting in the transfer portal. I love the money that the college athletes are getting paid now because they deserve it. For too long, institutions have been making money off these athletes for free. But what does need regulations is this transfer portal. And there's guys that are just that are examples of that. One of the guys that's an example of that, Isaiah Horton, is headed off to Texas A&M to play with the Aggies, which, Isaiah Horton, a pretty good receiver. But this is his third team in 3 years. You were on Miami. Miami was good. They had a good quarterback coming in. They had a good offense. You left there. You go to Alabama. Alabama was good. They go to the playoffs. You got a good quarterback. They got a good offense. You leave again, and now you're heading to Texas A&M. What jerseys are you going to hang up when this is over with? You don't play for 3 different teams, and you ain't the guy that's played for 3 different teams, and you transfer from this little school to this little school, then they got this shot, and then end up going to a big school. You were at all big schools the whole time. You were at Miami, then you were Alabama, now you're going to Texas A&M. What is the point of these dudes jumping into the portal like that? PJ, what do you think about Horton? Not just Horton, but all these dudes that are now going to be playing for their 3rd or 4th major college football team. It's not like some of these guys are transferring from UNT to Oklahoma State. They're going from top program to top program to top program each and every single year. What do you think about Horton going to A&M?
I was that's why he even left Alabama. He had a good year. To me, he was the number one receiver. So,
yeah, him and Bernard.
I don't see no. Yeah. These guys really got to figure out, that all this jumping around to different schools, they're not really helping yourself. And at some point, you need to show some loyalty and buy in to whatever school that you're at. Definitely whenever you're playing and you're one of the main guys that's playing, and you're at a school that they're not going to go down. Alabama's going to be good next year. Again, they were good enough to make it to the college football playoff this year, and I can guarantee that they will be good enough next year to make it as well. So just buy in, man, to whatever program that y'all at, and stop just, going to different schools, man. Three schools in 3 years is crazy. And at some point, they got to start looking at themselves in the mirror. You the problem at that point if you have to jump from one school to the next school to the next school 3 years. 3 years in a row is just crazy.
Especially when you go from big school to big school. It don't even make any sense.
School, yeah. You're not, because you're not transferring and going to it's like you're transferring and going down to a D2 or a D1 AA. Y'all going to other major schools in the same conference.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in the same conference. So, I don't know. I don't like that, man. I wish some of these guys can understand that sometimes with that moving like that, you could possibly hurt your own draft stock.
Oh,
I don't think they
definitely.
really think about that.
You're definitely hurting your draft stock. And some of these guys are moving. Somebody needs to tell these guys that it's not working out at these other places. They're not the only guys that are moving from place to place to place. It's not working out. I'm looking at Mekhi Hughes, who's leaving Oregon and committing to U of H. You were on Tulane that had a good team. You transfer, go up to Oregon. Go to Oregon, you get your spot taken by 3 freshmen. There's 3 freshmen that play in front of you, and you were coming in supposed to be number 1 guy. Now you got to go all the way back to Houston. These guys are just transferring from place to place to place. Quarterback that was at Ohio State a few years ago, Aaron Nolan. Aaron Nolan was at Ohio State, came in as one of the top dual threat quarterbacks in the portal, or coming out of high school. He's one of the top dual threat quarterbacks. Goes to Ohio State, doesn't win the job over Julian Sand. Transfers, goes to South Carolina. Don't know why he went to South Carolina, knowing that you weren't going to get the job over Lenore Sellers. Now you got to go down and play in Memphis. We got to get some regulations on this transfer portal. Too many guys are transferring from school to school to school every single year. No penalty whatsoever. I don't know how you're transferring. All of y'all are going to graduate in general studies because you're not going to have enough transfer credits to graduate with anything else because you've been at 4 or 5 different schools. You don't even think about the part of your transcripts got to come over and transfer over there to that. Some of y'all are going to play at five different schools and have no degree. You're going to be the first college athlete to go to school for 6 years and not get a degree because your stuff doesn't transfer over. Only thing you're going to be able to get is a general study. And I ain't even hating on general studies. Anybody got the general studies degree, I ain't hating on that. I'm just saying that's the only thing you're going to be able to graduate with. Bachelor of Science. Because you're not going to have enough transfer credits to be able to go to all these different schools, man. So I don't know. They got to put some type of regulation on it. Make these guys sit out a year or something, and that'll kind of slow down some of the way that these guys are transferring in and out of these different schools. Hopefully. Until we do that, we're going to see dudes transferring every single year. It just hasn't been open enough, but somebody is going to be a 5th-year senior at their 5th school. We might get it this year. I think it's been open about 5 years now. So we're probably going to get somebody going to be on their 5th school in the transfer portal as a 5th-year senior. That's an issue on multiple different levels. I think they've got to get that figured out. But I don't like when people put it together of that and the money making. That's separate. I think the transfer portal is having its problems is the one thing, and the money being passed out in NIL is a whole different thing. I don't think they should get the money taken away. Should it be some regulations? Maybe. But, I mean, if they want to pay a dude $10 million, pay him $10 million. If you got it, you got it. And if you're paying $10 million, you're going to make $50 to $60 to $70 million off a kid because they've done it plenty of time. How much money do you think Florida made off Tim Tebow? How much money did Johnny Manziel make Texas A&M? So I don't have any problem with these guys making money. The top guys, everybody not getting $2, $3 million contracts. I know everybody likes to lump that together, man. They're out here paying these guys $3 million. They're paying a few guys $3 million. The rest of these guys are getting $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. And some of y'all, well, that's too much for a college kid to be making. Why? Is it too much for a college to be making from their athletic program? Some of these athletic programs making $100 million in a year, in a football season. So why is it an issue for some of these guys to get a piece of the pie, man? So let's not conflate the two issues. I don't like whenever people kind of put those two things together. But the transfer portal is in full effect right now. Still guys signing, still guys transferring. I mean, the Jordan Seaton news came out just yesterday. So even though the portal has been open for a week or so, don't think that your team is safe as far as somebody jumping in the portal. I mean, Bryson Washington jumped in the portal late, and he's already headed to a new team out there in Auburn. College football championship is going to be almost a week from today, 6 days from today on Monday. National championship game. Indiana Hoosiers will be playing in the national. It doesn't even sound right to say the Indiana Hoosiers playing in the national championship, but they will be playing in the national championship versus the University of Miami. This national championship is special for so many reasons. I talked a little bit earlier about Indiana and the run that they're making. and how special this is and the type of run that they're making. Because this is, to say that they're not a football school is an understatement. This is one of the worst football programs ever in the history of college football. See them in a national championship, and for it to only take 2 years. This wasn't a 10-year rebuild, and in 8 years from now, Cincinnati finally went to a champ. No, this is year 2 at a program that was not a premier program whatsoever, not even in the slightest. That's what coaching is able to do. I think it's a great story. Indiana getting there, and then Miami finally getting over the hump, finally getting back to prosperity. PJ is like myself, a guy that's been a fan of Miami for years and watched these guys over the years. They find a way to lose in certain scenarios year after year after year, even when they had chances to get back to the college football playoffs. With Mario Cristobal, with I forget who the coach was before that. They've had their chances, but they would always fall off right at the end, not be able to do it. They get into the playoffs this year. The last team to get into the playoffs, the last at-large bid to get into the playoffs was the Miami Hurricanes. These guys have fought all the way to get to the national championship game. Phenomenal story seeing what these two teams have done. PJ, what do you think about this matchup when you see the Hoosiers playing against Miami? Kind of a clash of styles. Indiana, the older team, they like to be physical. Miami, kind of a more finesse team outside of their trenches, man. This might be the biggest offensive line in the country and the best defensive line in the country. What do you think about this matchup with Indiana and Miami for the Natty next Monday?
This is going to be a really good match. Both teams are kind of similar. They're going to run the ball until you show that you can stop it. It really hasn't been a lot of teams, if any teams, that have shown that they can stop the run with both of these teams. Both of their trenches are pretty good on the defensive side. Miami defensive line is probably better. I would say better. Not probably. Yeah, it is better.
For sure.
But Indiana is a very sound team. They don't make mistakes. You're not going to have a lot of penalties. That's what really works to their advantage, man. They're just very sound, man. These guys, they do everything perfect. I was watching some tape on them earlier, man, and I'm just amazed because it's perfect. Their film is perfect. And both of these receiver cores are really good. I like Surratt and Cooper for Indiana. Like C.J. Daniels. What's the other kid?
Malachi Tony.
Oh man, Keelan Marion, yeah, and then Malachi Tony. Those guys are all good. Both these receiver cores are very similar too. You got a receiver core that's not selfish. They're gonna go block. You'll see these guys go and block for the running backs. You know what I mean? So, it's gonna be a really good matchup. I got Miami just because I'm kind of I'm a secret fan of them and I always have been. But I wouldn't be mad if they were to lose this game. They lost against a really, really, really good team, a historically good team at that point in Indiana. At that point, so. This is going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be won in the trenches, though. Whoever can really dominate in the trenches, I feel like is going to win this game, just because both of these teams are built from the trenches. So whoever can really just get an ups on, moving the line and being able to run the ball and being able to stop the run as well on the defensive side, I feel like is going to win this game. And also getting some pressure on the QB. That's going to play a really key role as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge, man. I picked Indiana in this game, and it's really just because of the coaching advantage I think they have. I think Cincinnati's a better coach than Mario Cristobal, even though Mario Cristobal is a really good coach as well. And I think Fernando Mendoza is a better quarterback than Carson Beck. But, man, it's hard to deny just the sheer size alone of this Miami offensive line. I know that they're physical up front. Indiana is with Aiden Fisher and, those D tackles they got out there. But their D tackles, they're short D tackles. They're 6'1". They're 6'2" defensive tackles, guys in their front. Aiden Fisher is about 6'1". This Miami offensive line, Mark Bell is like 6'8", 350. Like that, they got large humans on the offensive line. And then the defensive line, Mesidor, dude's got 10.5 sacks. And then Ruben Bain is going to be the first defensive player off the board in the draft this year. So, man, it's really a clash of styles. I'm not going to be mad either way this game goes, and I can see either team winning this game. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever about them winning. The spread is crazy. The spread got Indiana 8.5 over Miami. I think that's crazy. I know Indiana has whooped everybody they played this year. But this Miami team is no joke. They've got the athletes out there as well. I'm going to love watching the matchup between Pons, who got that pick six last week, and Malachi Toney. I think that's going to be cinema, watching those two guys. And really just this defense versus this offensive line. And then the same way on the other way. The Miami defense who's got dogs out there. They've got the Ruben Bain. They got the Mesadors. They got Scott in the secondary out there. They got Thomas back there hidden at safety. I can't wait to see this game next Monday. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what this spread is. Like I said, the spread is 8.5 points. I think that's kind of crazy for a national championship game. This is going to come down to the fourth quarter, man. If Miami's going to stay in this game, they've got to dominate physically on that offensive line. I'll say that. Because Indiana can get up on you quick. They just did it to Oregon, and it was nothing they could do to stop it after that. Indiana is going to be well coached. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. This Miami team is going to be physical, their defensive and offensive line. And then Mark Fletcher's a big dude as well out there. So this is going to be a great matchup of styles. Can't wait to be able to watch this. We'll break down this game more and more as we get further throughout the week. Let's do a couple of quick takes here before we jump into the NFL and talk about these divisional games coming up here. Anthony Davis having surgery, probably going to be out for the season after a second opinion from a specialist. Anthony Davis going to be out and is still debating will he get surgery or not. Either way it goes, he's going to be out for multiple months. They've been talking about trading AD as of recent. I don't know if this kind of hurts the trade and if anybody wants to trade for AD knowing he's going to be hurt for maybe a month or for at least a month and maybe even 2 months going in. But what do you think about Anthony Davis getting hurt again, PJ, and then him being out potentially for the rest of the season?
If you're the Mavericks organization, then at this point you really have lost in that trade from last year.
Yeah, you lost. For
sure. you lost in that trade. And this is one of the things that a lot of people was talking about. He's just not a guy that's reliable. He hasn't been reliable throughout his entire career. He's very fragile. He's going to get hurt at some point. And unfortunately that's what has happened. I mean, really pretty much throughout the year he's been with the Mavericks now. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is bad news for them. But I mean, I feel like at this point now it's just kind of time to look at a replacement for him. Whether it's a guy that's in college basketball right now that could possibly be a replacement that you can get through the draft. I know it's early in the season for them still, but you kind of got to start looking at that, or someone in the league that you could possibly trade him to, and get some key pieces for your team. Just because he's not reliable, he's going to be hurt, and he's getting older as well. So if he wasn't able to be on the court consistently when he was younger, I mean, dude is 32 now?
Yeah.
He's definitely not going to do. Yeah, he's getting up there, so he's definitely not going to be on the court consistently now at 32 years old. He already has plenty of injuries from the past. And as far as for him, man, at this point, man, you have a season-ending injury now. You need to kind of start looking at retirement, man. You got to start looking at retirement. Yeah, because you're always hurt. You know what I mean? So,
and what makes it more aggravating, at least to me, is the fact that he's supposed to get surgery and he's refusing surgery and going to get reevaluated in 6 weeks. Like, bro, what does that even mean?
Why are you refusing surgery? Why are you refusing surgery?
He's not refusing it, but he got a second opinion.
It's his hand, right, that got hurt?
Let me see. Let me go and look to see what his injury was.
I feel like it was something in his hand.
I think it was his hand.
Yeah, man, go ahead and get a surgery, man. Go ahead and get a surgery. And it's sad because he's a really good player. Not really good. He's a great player.
Yeah, he is. He's a great player.
Anthony Davis is a great player, but his body just it can't keep up. It has never been able to keep up. And, like I said, for the Mavericks, I mean, y'all lost in that trade now. Y'all lost in that trade, so it's time to kind of go ahead and move on already, just from 1 year.
Yeah, he had ligament damage in his hand. That was what's going on. I seen him. He came out and tweeted and said lies, and y'all better start believing these apps when it came out and said Anthony Davis is out for the season. Like, bro, does that even matter? Why are you defending that? you're going to be out at least a month and a half, at least, minimum. So that's almost a season, bro. Like, you're going to come back in March and play the last 3-4 weeks of the season? Like, you're worried about the wrong stuff. You're trying to come out here and say people are lying on you. People, can you stay healthy, bro? Can you stay healthy? The Mavericks have definitely lost this trade. It never made sense for them to trade for him in the first place, especially trading Luka. Like, it never made sense. Obviously, it was something way deeper than basketball for the reasons why that trade happened. But they're looking to move on from him and just rebuild completely. Worst part about it is you got 1 first-round pick for Luka. 1 first-round pick. So it's not like, oh, well, we'll just rebuild and use this haul of picks that we got here. Can't even do that. So, yeah, Anthony Davis out for at least a month and a half with the injury that he just sustained and we'll see if he's able to come back into it. A hockey game yesterday. I don't watch any hockey, so I don't even know what teams these are. So if you're a hockey fan, I'm sorry for whatever I'm about to get wrong. But in the hockey game last night with the Flyers versus the Lightning, I know that the Flyers are in Philly, and I know that the Lightning are in Tampa Bay. So maybe I do know a little something. But the Flyers and the Lightning, they had a fight last night in hockey. You know, they always got the fights. But 2 different fights break out at the same time over here in hockey. I'm just trying to figure out, PJ, why are these dudes still fighting? Why is this allowed to happen? Is this just to keep any type of entertainment in the sport? And if they're allowed to fight, why are we not allowed to fight in other leagues? I get it. They're on ice, so they can't really do too much to each other. They really just kind of grab one another and try to throw as many jabs as they can at once. You can't even defend yourself. I think it's the dumbest fights that they have. You can't even throw up a block. You can't weave anything. You just got to sit there and either get punched or punch somebody while you're getting punched at the same time. They had 2 fights going on at the same time. If this happened in the NBA, it'll be front page news. They'd be suspending everybody for, 2 seasons or whatever they would do. What do you think about hockey still being able to get these fights off the way that they are? I'll try to get PJ's audio back on here. But, yeah, more fights going on in hockey. Not sure what that's about. Not sure why they're still allowed to be able to do that. But last night they had 2 of them. I guess that's the only, entertainment they have in the game. I don't even know what happened. Charles Barkley said.
Okay, I can hear you now, Taylor.
Oh, okay. No, I was talking about this fight happened in hockey yesterday. Yeah, with them fighting yesterday. They had 2 fights at the same time. I still don't know what's going on with the fighting thing in hockey and why it's still a thing.
Yeah, hockey's crazy, man. It's different. They out there fighting on ice.
You can't even
totally
defend yourself. You just grab somebody and swing
really,
and hope for the best.
Yeah, you just swing and hope that your punches land more than his. But yeah, it's different for sure. That was crazy though. I don't think I ever seen 2 fights at one time not on the ice.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with them, man. I guess those guys really don't like each other. Like I said, I wouldn't know because I don't watch hockey, so I'm not even gonna pretend like I know what's going on out there. Marcus Freeman said he's going to stay at Notre Dame despite NFL jobs interest potentially. I'm not a big fan of the college coach coming straight to the NFL and being a head coach, but I really don't think it was that many head coaches. I don't think it was that many organizations in the NFL asking Marcus Freeman to be a head coach. People are reporting on it and all this kind of stuff. I just got to call cap, though. I really don't think that they're checking for Marcus Freeman like that. If you're any of these new teams, why would you hire Marcus Freeman? What does Marcus Freeman coach? He's a manager of teenagers. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, it's not like, oh, well, Marcus Freeman, man, he drew up a great play right there. Or his defense is going out there and doing this, yada, yada, yada. I'm not that huge of a fan of Kurt Cinetti coming up to the NFL. Why in the world, if I'm an NFL team, would I get Marcus Freeman to come coach? He's the same age as some of the players. What is he finna come up here and coach? Like that? I don't know. What do you think about Marcus Freeman saying he's going back, though, to Notre Dame and not going to look at any head coaching jobs in the NFL?
I think it's big. I mean, he's building something really good at Notre Dame. They was just in the Natty last year, had a chance to get to the college football playoff this year, and they got a really, really good 2026 class that's coming in. So, and their 2027 class is even good. They got some guys in the portal. I think Marlon Graham from Ohio State, the receiver that
Yeah,
into the
that was
portal.
huge. That was huge.
Yeah, he just committed to Notre Dame. I think CJ Carr's coming back, and he's going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate next year. So I think that's big for Notre Dame. Like I said, Marcus Freeman, he's building something really good at Notre Dame. He already has built something really good at Notre Dame. And regardless of how people feel, they are a team that you kind of got to respect. They're still a really good team. So like I said, I think it's good.
Yeah.
He's going to continue to build a legacy at Notre Dame and keep on getting really good recruiting classes, because that's one thing he can do is recruit.
No, he definitely can recruit, man.
Yeah.
Some guys are just better for college. I think Marcus Freeman is a college guy. I don't think he's an NFL type of coach. I don't know how well he would resonate with the coaches. With you coming in not having a specialty, you're not an offensive guy, you're not a defensive guy. You're kind of just a motivator. I don't know if you're going to motivate a bunch of guys that are like the same age as you. So I think he's more of a college coach. Let's transition to the NFL a little bit. Talk about some of these wild card games. Before we do, 9 head coaching openings now with the Pittsburgh Steelers now firing their coach. I'm gonna list off these names, PJ, of these teams, and I want to see who do we think the best job is available right now as a head coach, and who's the worst job available as far as these teams. Teams that need a coach right now: Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, the Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, Miami Dolphins, New York Giants, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and last, Tennessee Titans. I'll go first. I think the best job available out of all these head coach openings is clearly the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, you got Lamar Jackson. He's an MVP candidate. You got guys out there building blocks on the defensive side of the ball. You got the Kyle Hamiltons, the Malachi Starks, some of those young guys you can help build your defense around. And on the offensive side of the ball, you still got Lamar, you still got Derrick Henry, you still got Zay Flowers, still got Mark Andrews, still got Isaiah Likely. I think they're clearly the best job available. And as far as the worst job available, to me, it's a toss-up between the Tennessee Titans and I would say the Arizona Cardinals, because they have no direction. We don't know if Kyler Murray's coming back. We don't know if who's going to be the quarterback. Don't have a lot of weapons out there. Marvin Harrison still hasn't developed maybe kind of how some of these other young receivers come in the league and dominated. He hadn't done that. They don't have anything on the defensive side of the ball outside of Will Johnson at corner, who I love them getting him in the second round for Michigan, and then Budda Baker. So it's a toss-up between them and the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, you got Cam Ward, who, the jury's still out to see if he's a number one or not. Outside of that, you got nothing in Tennessee. So actually, I'll probably say it's Tennessee, for my opinion, on who the worst job is. But who do you think the best job is, and then the worst job out of these head coaching openings?
I think the worst is going to probably be, I would say, the Arizona Cardinals. Because like you said, they don't really have anything that they got going for themselves. I mean, you got Kyler Murray, but, I mean, he hasn't really proven anything. And then, you just don't have a lot of pieces. It's a lot of pieces that they need to really build onto their team to be good. So I don't even know where they start. You know what I mean? So the best, I would say, possibly the Miami Dolphins. You got Quinn Ewers over there. You kind of got some weapons over there already that you can utilize on the defensive side and the offensive side. You might have to go deep off into the draft and get some guys, but they're a team with potential still. And then, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, you already got guys over there. You got Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry. You got guys over there, Kyle Hamilton on the defensive side. So you're already pretty much good. It's just all about bringing a new philosophy into the locker room for the Baltimore Ravens at this point.
Yeah, the Ravens' job, I mean, I would go a defensive guy if I don't go young offensive mind. I don't know if he'll get a job. I think Brian Flores is probably one of the best candidates, if not the best candidate for some of these jobs because of what he can do on the defensive side of the ball. But he sued the NFL. So I don't know if he'll ever be a head coach again. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he never gets another head coaching job. But if you bring a defensive guy in, then maybe you go and get a Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator to match up with Lamar. Maybe you get a Mike McDaniel, who just got fired in Miami, to bring him in and work with Lamar Jackson. But I like what you said about Miami. I think they do got some young guys. You got A-Chain. You got an offensive line that can block a little bit. Quinn Ewers, you can see if he's a guy you can build with. You got to figure out how to get off that 2-1. And also the Atlanta Falcons is another really good job as well. You got a great offensive line. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, 2 young edge rushers that you just drafted last year. So I think those guys can be good as well. But up to 9 head coaching openings now in the NFL. Lots and lots of coaching movement we're going to see over this offseason. Guys already being interviewed for jobs. We've talked about some of the candidates that we like. Got a few minutes left here. Let's look at these games. The divisional round is set. All 4 matchups have been set. The games have been set with their times and everything. So let's look at some of these games here coming up in the divisional round. First game on Saturday, 3:30. Buffalo heading up to Mile High to play against the Denver Broncos. This is, in my opinion, probably the best game of the weekend. I think all the games this weekend are going to be really good, but this is probably going to be the best game. Josh Allen, who had to put the Superman cape on last week just to get past Jacksonville, headed up to go play against the number 1 defense outside of the Texans in the league. You got the Defensive Player of the Year and the reigning Defensive Player of the Year and Pat Surtain. He's locking up out there. Hufanga just made, I think, first team All-Pro, either first or second team All-Pro. Nick Bonito and what he's been able to do. Bo Nix and Sean Payton in this offense, what they've been able to do. Going against Josh Allen and the other guys. That's really what I think about the Bills. It's Josh Allen and the others. James Cook has played phenomenal, but if you take James Cook out of there, I don't know what these guys have. Khalil Shakir got 12 passes last week for like 80 yards. So they really just don't have many options. This defense is not the same as the Buffalo defenses we've seen in the past. I'm not sold on this defense whatsoever. For that reason, I'm picking Denver. I think this is going to be a really close game, but I think Josh Allen's Superman type performances just eventually have to run out. I think it runs out against this Denver defense on Saturday at 3:30. PJ, who do you got in Buffalo versus Denver on Saturday?
I got Denver. I love the defense. Kind of like with the Texans, I feel like with a defense that good, they can take you far.
Yeah.
They can take you really far. So I'm picking Denver in that matchup. But it's gonna be a really close game. I think, like you said, I think that'll be the best game of the weekend, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good one. It's the first one we get to at 3:30 on Saturday in Mile High. Let's see the weather for that game. 52 degrees, not bad at all. I mean, it's a lot warmer than it is in Buffalo, so I'm sure Josh Allen ain't too mad about having to get on the road and play against the Denver Broncos. The night game, San Francisco versus Seattle for the 3rd time this year. This is a game I've been back and forth on. I think Seattle is clearly the better team just because of all the injuries that San Francisco has faced. The news that George Kittle has now torn his Achilles in that first quarter in last week's game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. San Fran, this is going to be a tough game for them to try to win. They're playing on the road against Seattle. I just don't trust Sam Darnold. That's the only reason I have reservations about picking Seattle. I think Seattle's defense is great. They got probably one of the best young defenses. When you think about a lot of these guys they drafted out there, Nicky Manwari, Devin Witherspoon, who made All-Pro this year as well out there. A lot of homegrown talent there for Seattle, and I like the way their defense played. And Sam Darnold's played well. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been unguardable. They got a 2-headed running attack, and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. My only reservation is Sam Darnold, and I know he's played good, and I know he's won 14 games back-to-back years. But I still remember the way he lost last year in Minnesota. I mean, he laid an egg. I don't know if he's going to do that again against Seattle. In Seattle, playing against this 49ers team who's just beat up. I mean, they're beat up at every single position. With Kittle going out now, it's just Brock Purdy and McCaffrey out there. Everybody else is not a starter on an NFL team. That's just is what it is. I think they'll get Trent Williams back. They'll make it close. Kyle Shanahan's still proven every year he's one of the best coaches in the league, especially with them getting 12 wins this year. Who do you got, San Francisco versus Seattle?
Ooh, so this game, too, is going to be a really good game. I know you said you wasn't sold on Sam Darnold. I'm not either, but for some reason, I got Seattle. I got Seattle in this one.
I mean, they're better than them. They're better than the 49ers.
They're just a
straight
better
up.
team. Yeah, they're just a better team than the 49ers. But like you said, Sam Darnold, it's he wishy-washy, you know what I'm saying, sometimes. So you just never know. But as far as just on paper, this Seattle team is better than this 49ers team. So I don't see no reason besides that, with Sam Darnold, why they should lose this game against the 49ers. They should really go into this game and win it, because they're just a way better team than the 49ers is currently right now.
Yeah, with all the injuries, man, I mean, they're on third string guys that are going to be starting in this game, man. I mean, it's unfortunate. Kyle Shanahan is, like I said, he's putting on a coaching masterclass every single week. I think he really outcoached Nick Sirianni last week, taking out the Super Bowl champs as well. Were you happy to see the Eagles go down, or were you like all the other Cowboys fans I talked to and said they didn't care who won because they hate the 49ers and the Eagles?
I was actually happy to see the Eagles go down. I do hate the 49ers and the Eagles, though, with a passion. But I hate both of them. But no, I was happy to see the Eagles go down, man. I think they're going to have some changes happen.
Just fired their offensive coordinator.
It's a lot of there's going to be some things changing over there. So we're going to be seeing a lot of things on the headlines regarding the Eagles, probably in the next few weeks, maybe next few months, honestly.
Man, it's way too early. Way, way, way too early for me to say this. But I think the Eagles' run is already over, man. I just can't see them doing this again with Jalen Hurts, and I'm sorry to the Eagles fans. I'm sorry to Philly guys. We say this stuff all year long, and everybody brings up the Super Bowl. Everybody brings up the playoffs. Everybody brings up what he did at Alabama. I'm talking about this year playing football, Jalen Hurts, from game 1 to game 19, 18, whatever they played, was not good. He just was not good enough. He wasn't good enough to win in this game as well. It just is what it is. They got to make some changes. I don't know if they make the changes at quarterback. That's doing a lot. That's moving a lot of pieces around. Maybe you get his team another run. But they wasted probably one of the best defenses they've had in years, including the Super Bowl they just won. They wasted that because their offense was just terrible. I think A.J. Brown will be gone. They already fired their offensive coordinator. So a lot of changes coming up in Philly. But San Francisco versus Seattle will be the night game on Sunday night. We'll see who can come out in that one. I got Seattle, but like I said, I just don't trust Sam Darnold, man. Sunday, 2 o'clock game, Houston Texans versus the New England Patriots. I already talked about it a little bit earlier. I got the Texans in this one. Patriots are favored by 3 points. I'm taking the Texans and the points in this game. I think this defense has the potential to do the same thing to Drake May that we just did to Aaron Rodgers last night. If Drake May and this offense struggled against the Chargers, I don't see any reason why they won't struggle against the Houston Texans in that defense. Can C.J. Stroud hold on to the football and stop turning it over? I got a complex with football players from California, and it's hard for me to cheer for these football players from California because they think they're so much better than Texas. It's hard. And I thought I would have a change of heart with C.J. Stroud becoming the quarterback of my team. But it's tough. When I see him go out there and do the stuff like that, I say, man, he's playing like these California dudes, just being soft. Hopefully he can get that together. I'm hoping he can get it together because he's going to waste an all-time defensive run if he can't get it together in this one. PJ, who you got Texans versus Patriots on Sunday at 2 o'clock?
Like I said earlier, I'm sold on this Texans defense. I think they can get them to a Super Bowl. So I got the Texans coming out with the win. Even though they're going to be in Foxborough, that's a real hard environment to play in and win a game. But I think this Texans defense, like I said, they're historically good. And when your defense is that good, they can just easily win the game for you. I don't really see any offenses being able to score just a lot of points on this defense. And hopefully C.J. Stroud can get it going on the offensive side. Guys like Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, even Walker, the running back, Nick Chubb. Some of these guys can kind of start getting some things going. Hopefully the O-line can play a little better. They can scheme up some things so that they can, have a better showing. But besides the offense, man, I know for a fact that the defense is going to show up, and I feel like they'll play a huge part in why they're going to win this game against the Patriots.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a close one between these two. Patriots got a really good defense, like you said earlier, as well. I think Mike Vrabel is right up there for Coach of the Year candidate. If not the Coach of the Year, I probably would vote for him for Coach of the Year if I had a vote. So they're a really great team. I think this Texans defense just has enough to get them to the next spot and get them to that AFC Championship game that we haven't been able to get to since 2003 when we became an organization, man. I think it's the first time we'll be able to do it. It's got to start on Sunday to be able to do it. Finally, the night game on Sunday night. This is going to be a super interesting game. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Chicago Bears. Chicago got the comeback win against Green Bay last week. Now I'm a Ben Johnson fan. I like all the stuff. I like the play calling. I like the confidence he puts in Caleb Williams. I even like him saying F the Packers after they win the game. I think that's cool that the Chicago Bears coach, that's what he's supposed to say. I don't know why people were like, man, he's a head coach. He can't come out. It's the Packers and the Bears. The nicest thing he could say about the coach is saying F the Packers. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff he probably wants to say, and especially since he was a coach at the Lions before. He's been hating the Packers. I like him as a coach, but similar to Dan Campbell, his last head coach, his aggressiveness is going to get him beat. They went for it on fourth downs. They didn't have to go for it. They threw bombs on first down. They didn't have to throw. They could have just ran the ball. They got a actually really good running game and a two-headed running game with Monungai and DeAndre Swift. I like this Bears team. They're opportunistic on defense. I think they led the league in turnovers this year. I still got to go with the Rams, even though they're on the road, even though they're going to play in Chicago, even though Matt Stafford got to play in cold weather, and I know people say that makes a big deal, but I'm not going to act like he didn't play in Detroit for 8 years where they had to play against the Vikings on the road, where they had to play against the Packers on the road. This is before the Vikings got a dome, and they had to play against this Bears team. He's played in Chicago a lot of times. He's familiar with the Chicago Bears and how they operate and what the weather's going to be like out there. Josh Allen and Matt Stafford are only two boogeymen left in the playoffs. Ain't nobody else scary. Ain't no other quarterback scary in the entire NFL playoffs. Only two of them left. Josh Allen scares you, and Matt Stafford should super scare you. I think Matt Stafford's the MVP this year. I'm going with the MVP. I know the defense played bad last week. I know that they let the Panthers stick around. I get it. But you go on a short week against a team you think you're going to blow out, and you got to fly to the other side of the country. Everybody don't give that enough credit. You got to fly 6 hours to Charlotte from Los Angeles to get over there. That has an effect on the game. This flight won't be as long. Matt Stafford's familiar with Chicago. I got the Rams in this one. PJ, who you like, Rams versus Bears on Sunday night?
And he's matched, but as bad as I want to see the Bears win, the Rams, man, that they're really good. Matthew Stafford, like you said, I think he's gonna be the MVP as well. And that's just a seasoned quarterback who knows how to win, definitely in the playoffs. Probably better than any quarterback right now in the playoffs. So it's not gonna be easy for the Bears to if they want to go in and really play perfect football like they've been playing for the majority of the season. I would say it's not going to be easy against the Rams. The Rams are a really good team. We already know what their offense is looking like, but their defense is really good as well too. Whenever they're playing up to their potential. Same for the Bears. I feel like both these teams are really good teams. Probably two of the better teams in the NFC. They just happen to be facing off against each other in the divisional round, unfortunately. But and it's a hard pick for me, bro. This is a toss-up game for me. I'm gonna go with the Bears, but I would not be surprised if the Rams win, and just if Matthew Stafford just shows up, bro, and does what Matthew Stafford does sometimes, and go in and throw for 400 yards, 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean? 5 touchdowns. So I wouldn't be surprised, but this kind of a toss-up for me. So I'm not really sure on this one. But for now, I would say the Bears on paper, and just what I recently just seen.
Yeah,
I would say the Bears, but man, this is a hard game though.
Now the Bears got a chance. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, and Ben Johnson are similar. I said this yesterday in the fact that when they get hot, they get hot. Like when Ben Johnson gets hot as a play caller, he's super hot. And when Caleb Williams, we saw in the game on Saturday, when he gets hot, he gets super hot. So I think it's going to be a huge game between those two teams. I really love the way that Caleb Williams has been playing these last few weeks. I love the way that Ben Johnson is calling the games. But as I said, there's only one real boogeyman, in my opinion, left in the NFL. The same way I used to say, man, I don't care how bad the Patriots are, I'm not picking against Tom Brady. That's kind of how I feel about Matt Stafford now. Like, I really don't care what the spread is. I don't care where they got to play. I'm not just going to go out and pick against Matt Stafford just because. Matt Stafford is a monster. He's the best quarterback left in the playoffs, in my opinion, with one of the best play callers left in the playoffs as well, and Sean McVay. So, super fun games this weekend in the divisional round. Lots and lots of good games we'll be able to see starting on Saturday, going all the way through Sunday. We'll get some really, really good games. And then Monday, we'll get to cap off with the national championship game in college football. Folks, we're out of time here today on Centex Primetime. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today. We'll be back later on this week to break down these games some more, give you guys some last-minute insights to the divisional round games and also to the national championship game. We'll be back and we'll talk some more about what's going on with Baylor football. We'll talk about Baylor basketball and what they've got going on. The men got off to a slow start in conference play, but Big 12 is a gauntlet when it comes to college basketball, especially on the men's side. So we already know what that's like. The women, on the other hand, are out here doing their thing, man. So we'll talk some more about some Baylor basketball and what's going on in college basketball as well as we go later throughout this week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, like, share, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button here on Centex Sports TV. Appreciate PJ for jumping on here with me. We'll see you guys next time. MCC basketball this weekend at Saturday, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. MCC playing against Rangers, so make sure you guys getting ready. Tune in for that. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time here on Centex Primetime. Everybody have a great evening.
Say you did good, cause I don't pretend. I'm one of the best, so give me respect, it is what it is.